Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch. Brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Today is Tuesday, February 6th, 2024. This is live stream 1016. If you are not overly familiar with this show, let me point out, super casual, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and usually talking about what's going on in the hobby as well. So we are not engaged in rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination, just hanging out, having fun. Of course, do want to remind you, when you are not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Should also point out that because this is a live show, there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you are a subscriber and have been for a couple of days and you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, maybe there's a topic you'd like me to discuss after I tackle the news. Well, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is good friend of the show, the Motor City Madman is with us. He also happens to be one of our chat moderators. Jose Fernandez, Anthony Good, Tesco Love, and Travis Williams are rounding out chat with us early in the show. I will take a guess that Sarah D., another of our chat moderators, might be lurking in the shadows. Very possibly. Yes. Kevin King is also chiming in. Good to see everybody. We are off and running for another 3 episodes of the Dispatch this week. I did have kind of a stressful weekend. I'll talk about that when I wrap up the news. It's pretty weird. But thankfully, not as stressful anymore. All right, let's get on into the tabletop gaming news because there's a pretty fun-looking new board game which is arriving this month from Hachette Boardgames. I've got the skinny on Evil Corp. We at Evil Corp have been working for 666 generations to frighten human villages. When it comes to scaring, we're the best. Every year, we hold a team seminar where each of our managers is tasked with recruiting a team of monsters and competing against their colleagues to prove they're the best at terrorizing humans. Will you have the most terrifying team of the year? In Evil Corp, the first player, or team when you play 2v2, to take control of its second village will be declared the new CEO of the company and therefore winner of the game. To do this, send your troop of monsters to scare the villagers more than your opponent to the point that the village becomes yours. During your turn, you can perform one action to send a monster a tile to one of your 2 adjacent villages, recruit a new tile at the Monster's Job Center, or activate one of your monster powers. When you have no more available actions or when you choose to do so, you may pass, which then ends the round for you. Depending on where the monsters are placed, they grant you bonuses, such as advancing on the terror track. Once you reach the bottom of it on your opponent's side, you take control of that village. Gaining magic force, which you can use to deal direct damage to an opponent's monster or draw a tile, earn gold coins, or seize the Power Stone pawn that gives you the advantage in case of a tied situation in the village. The order in which you choose to perform your actions will tremendously impact your strategy and the outcome of the game. Good luck, CEO Pretender. Evil Corp is for 2 or 4 players, ages 12 and up, plays in around 45 to 60 minutes. It's actually making its way into stores right now. I do believe its availability is right at the middle of the month, and it's going to carry an MSRP of $49.99. I thought this looked kind of interesting. I like the art style. Definitely worth a peek there. And I would take a guess this is a relatively lightweight game because Hachette Games doesn't tend to release really heavy mechanical games by any stretch. But I thought this looked kind of interesting and thought I would bring you the news. So yes, Sarah D is guilty as charged. No need to lock her up, though. She'll just stay there in the shadows. Kathy Evans is with us tonight also. Good to see you, Kathy. Let's move on to our next news piece because now available in stores from Devir Games is Salton Sea. And here's what I know about this game. Salton Sea is a unique place located in California, very close to the border with Mexico. The characteristics of this salty lake make it a unique location to generate geothermal energy, which takes advantage of the heat from the planet. In this area of intense geothermal activity, you will drill the ground and extract the steam and hot water to obtain lithium and sell it as part of a modern industry, far from fossil fuels, that will allow you to lead the energy transition toward a completely renewable future. Designed by David Bernal and illustrated by Amelia Sales, Salton Sea can be enjoyed alone or in groups of up to 4 players in sessions lasting about 2 hours. During the game, players must manage their geothermal lithium extraction companies to obtain the greatest number of points. The extraction of this material and its subsequent processing will be the driving force of your companies. On your turn, place one of your 4 engineers on one of the available spaces to take an action. There are 3 different groups of actions. Industrial actions, which will allow you to obtain an exploration license, drill, extract, process, or repair machinery. Commercial actions, sell, acquire contracts, and execute contracts. And management actions, research, buy shares, develop the business project, or finance itself. It's up to you to manage the engineers at each point of the game to get the most out of your company. However, there's no single path to success. The game will reward you for exhausted land, executed contracts, short-term objectives, company development, or research advances. Will you master the power of the Salton Sea to create the most efficient geothermal company? Salton Sea is, once again, for 1 to 4 players. It's for ages 14 and up, plays in around 2 hours, and carries an MSRP of $39.99. And I have to say, unless there's some deluxe edition of Salton Sea, looks like you get quite a lot for the $39.99. And I am intrigued. I am intrigued by this. I always kind of, how would I put this? I am always curious about some of these kind of scientific economic games that float around out there, but I never get an opportunity to check any of them out. Like there was the game, I want to say it's from Arcane Wonders, and it's about cell phone companies, like the early development of cell phone companies. And it looks really interesting. I've never had an opportunity to check it out, ever. So once again, Salton Sea is out now, and you can get it for an MSRP of $39.99. Let's talk about some role-playing game news, because there is a huge, or as some people like to say, huge Backer Kit event, which launched today. It actually features 8 publishers teaming to release tabletop role-playing game products for the Purple Planet science fantasy setting, which is for Dungeon Crawl Classics. I've got the scoop on the Goodman Games core offering. It is Tome of Adventure Volume 4, The Purple Planet. 8 publishers are simultaneously crowdfunding tabletop role-playing game supplements in the same fantastic setting, the Purple Planet, where mighty death worms rule the wastes, beastling tribes wage an endless war, befouled winds whistle through ancient crypts, and fungal forests flourish in the weirdling light, where ancient technologies offer life or a quick death. Will you and your companions stand as conquerors atop this alien land? Or will you fall beneath the blast of an ink-black death ray? Just another corpse left to litter the wastes of the Purple Planet. Prepare for Harley Stroh's Sword and Planet Fantasy Epic. Your characters are cast across the cosmos to a foreign world, left to die beneath the weirdling sun and its sickening rays. Their survival depends as much upon quick wit as a quick blade. Even the finest chain hauberk must fail beneath the crush of an alien horde. The Purple Planet, where tribes of man-beasts wage an endless war beneath a dying sun, where mighty death worms rule the wastes, befouled winds whistle through those ancient crypts, and forests of fungi flourish in that weirdling light. The Purple Planet returns to print in this enormous hardcover, a Swords and Planet hex crawl in the vein of John Carter of Mars and Robert E. Howard's Almeric. Adventures on the Purple Planet compiles all the Purple Planet setting material from the original 2014 box set, the 3 supplemental adventures, the long-lost Glossography of the Ithroth, the brand new adventure Chessmen of the Purple Planet, and Invasion of the Purple Planet, which is actually translated from its original German edition. Plus, full-color maps for both the player and judge, play aids, and more. This Backer Kit project funded within the first 45 minutes today, and you can reserve a copy of the hardcover with PDF for a pledge of $44.99 through March 5th. I have to say, I do not have any info on when they plan on delivering on the Purple Planet, the Volume 4 of Tome of Adventure. I looked through, I don't know if it was just kind of flying on my radar somehow, but I looked to see if there was any sort of, estimated delivery on this, which usually, from my experience, Goodman Games usually takes about a year or so to actually get these out. But this is a big deal because, for one, it's Harley Stroh. So if you are familiar with Dungeon Crawl Classics at all, and you have run any of the published adventures for Dungeon Crawl Classics, you've probably run at least one Harley Stroh adventure And they tend to be really, really good. And this is all Harley Stroh's work with I believe, with the original box set. Now, the additional adventures and things like that, I don't know how much involvement Harley Stroh had in that, but I can tell you that the original Purple Planet for Dungeon Crawl Classics is Harley Stroh's work. Should be very, very cool. Should also mention part of this backer kit is also the first 3 volumes of those Tomes of Adventure, which have some out-of-print Dungeon Crawl Classics adventures. I think one of them is the Lankmar adventures. I think it's like 4 or 5 of them. So that is part of this, as well as I do believe that Dungeon Crawl Classics for Roll20 is also in this backer kit, because I know that launched today. I'm pretty sure it's part of this. I don't think it's a separate project that Goodman Games has rolled out. I don't think it's like over there on Kickstarter or something like that. But if you are into Roll20 and you would like to bring Dungeon Crawl Classics over to that virtual tabletop, you'll be able to back that. Also, let's see, we've got a few more folks popping on into chat. Royce is with us, as it is Lord Cost 2000 and 245 Trioxin, as well as Coco B. Very nice. Got a nice chat rocking and rolling right now. I'm excited for this. Of course, we talked about it before. Goodman Games isn't like all that big on, reviews, from outlets and that. So I won't be seeing a review copy of this. But it's good to see Harley Stroh's work getting some additional recognition. I wonder if he's going to be hanging out at Founders and Legends. I wonder. I'm pretty sure Harley Stroh goes to Gary Con, because I know Goodman Games has a presence there. But as far as Founders and Legends, I don't know. There's no exhibitor area for Founders and Legends. I know that. I think they're going to sell some Gary Con swag, but I think that's going to be it. On to our next news piece. There is a massive Cyberpunk Red Humble Bundle, which is on offer. I've got the deets on the deal on the famed Talsorian Games role-playing game. Tabletop adventures in Night City. Calling all solos, netrunners, and rocker boys. It's time to bring the edgy allure and explosive excitement of the legendary Cyberpunk pen and paper role-playing game to your table. This bundle is bursting at the seams with all the rulebooks, source books, and more that you'll need to play both Cyberpunk Red, the latest edition of the seminal role-playing game, as well as Cyberpunk 2020, the classic that started it all. You'll get over 20 books and game aids for both editions, including the Interface Red Volume 3 source book, packed with new weapons, gear, rules, and more, and available for the first time anywhere as part of this bundle. That's right. You heard me correct. Interface Red Volume 3 in PDF is only available through this humble bundle at the moment. Pretty cool. Pay what you want for all the tools you need to take Night City by storm and help support Children's Miracle Network hospitals with your purchase. Right now, you can score all 23 PDFs for a minimum donation of $18 through February 24th. We, as of late, have had an opportunity to pick up some amazing bundles of role-playing game PDFs at very tiny prices. As an example, the Call of Cthulhu Humble Bundle. Hopefully, if you have ever had any interest in running Call of Cthulhu, or even just checking it out, or maybe even having adventures where you're going to crib stuff from the Chaosium releases for your own Lovecraftian horror or just horror role-playing, I hope you jumped on board that, because that was a phenomenal deal. What was it? $400 and some, I think, worth of PDFs for $18. Here, you can get, from what I can tell, everything that is out for Cyberpunk Red, which I think is really, really well done. It may not be the best presented role-playing game. I will give everybody that. But there is just so much cool, I shouldn't say so much, so many cool ideas and gear and things along those lines packed into Cyberpunk Red. It is essentially most role-playing aficionados go to for Cyberpunk role-playing. You can get just about everything that's been printed for Cyberpunk Red in this humble bundle. You'll get some extra stuff for Cyberpunk 2020, and you can do so for a minimum donation of only $18. That is smashing. That is a smashing deal, everybody. You owe it to yourself to check it out if you've got any interest whatsoever in any sort of cyberpunk role-playing. And I say this all the time. If you're a game master, and I guarantee the Madman, our good friend of the show, the Madman who's with us tonight, he will attest to this. Any good game master cribs from all different sources. That's how I say crib. I don't say steal. Yes. Obenall says, I'm not sure if I like John Carter 2D20. I need to play it, though I have all the books. It is pretty light. It is really, really light. And it really doesn't get any support from Modiphius Entertainment. It kind of came out, and that was about it. That was about the end of it. Kevin King's talking about John Carter of Mars and Flash. I assume we're talking Flash Gordon, which was for Savage Worlds, wasn't it? Wasn't Flash Gordon Savage Worlds, but it's not Savage Worlds Adventure Edition, I don't believe. If I had my choice between the two, just myself personally, I would say that I would go with Flash Gordon. I like Flash Gordon better. I have to point out, I don't believe a lot of John Carter of Mars, the novels, some of the stuff in there has not aged well, I guess we shall say. Cesar Perez is with us asking, what game is today's thumbnail art from? It's actually from my first news piece today, and it is Evil Corp. So that is what that is from. So what I've tried to do is when I have the thumbnail artwork, try to use something that's a little off the wall, something to, like, as an example, if I take it from one of the news pieces, that's what I'm doing now. But if it's, say, from a role-playing game that I talk about, it's not the cover. I try to find some interior art or something like that that I can utilize. Travis Williams says, I really like the Modiphius game settings. I just can't quite get behind the 2D20 system. I know. I'm with you on that. I completely understand. It's not terrible. The 2D20 system is not terrible. In fact, you know what? We'll talk about that when I wrap up the news. That'll be our topic tonight. We'll talk a little bit about 2D20 and Modiphius Entertainment. I've got a big news piece from Modiphius on tomorrow's show. So stay tuned for that. Glass Miner is with us in chat, and it is their first time visiting with us live. Well, welcome aboard. Thank you for hanging out with us. Tesco Love says the John Carter version of 2D20 is odd in the way it handles stats and talents. I had fun with it, though. Does pulpy action good. It has been so long since I read the John Carter Adventures on a Dying Planet or something like that. Is the long title, because that was at the point when Modiphius Entertainment liked to have these long, like, subtitles of the games. Conan, Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of. It's like, okay. Okie dokie. Chris Lundgren is with us in chat. Welcome, Chris. Good to see you. Once again, Travis Williams is saying 2D20 doesn't need to kick rocks, but it doesn't quite jive with them. Okay, well, like I said, we'll talk a little 2D20 when we get to that point. Let's wrap up my final news piece. Paizo Inc. has revealed their Gen Con 2024 lineup of releases. And guess who's got all the details? Paizo, publisher of the Pathfinder and Starfinder role-playing games, has revealed the new releases it's going to bring to Gen Con at Indianapolis. When the doors open on August 1st, fans will find the Pathfinder Player Core 2 rulebook, the Curtain Call Adventure Path, the Starfinder 2nd Edition playtest suite of products, and more, all published under the Open RPG Creative, ORC, license. Survival in a world beset by magic and evil takes more than a lucky roll of the dice. Pathfinder Player Core 2 significantly expands options available to Pathfinder players, giving them the edge to take on any adventure. This 320-page hardcover rulebook remasters 8 classes from Pathfinder's 2nd Edition, providing everything players need to create a wide array of new characters ready to take on the world. It also includes more than 40 archetypes, expanded ancestries, and tons of feats, spells, and alchemical items to provide a near-endless array of exciting options for every Pathfinder character. Then we've got the Curtain Call Adventure Path. You've made a name for yourselves as heroes, and now your adventuring group has been offered a unique opportunity to help produce an extravagant opera based on your prior adventures. Fighting dragons and fiends and undead by torchlight is one thing, but are you ready for the challenges that face those who step into the limelight, even when there are powerful forces who might seek to stand in your way? The Curtain Call Adventure Path is a monthly 3-part series of connected adventures that form a complete Pathfinder campaign for characters of 11th to 20th level. Then we've got the Pathfinder adventure, Pray for Death. The infamous Red Mantis assassins are feared throughout the world for their ruthlessness and legacy. Those they slay stay dead. Yet they are not without honor. So when a group of assassins set on a dangerous mission are met with unexpected treachery, they must clear their own names while remaining true to their murderous calling, even as greater plots and shocking truths reveal themselves. Kind of interesting because it seems as if this is a standalone adventure where the player characters will be evil. Then we got the Starfinder 2nd Edition playtest rulebook. Get ready for the latest upgrade to the acclaimed science fantasy Starfinder role-playing game. The Starfinder playtest rulebook brings Starfinder into a new age of compatibility as Starfinder switches to using the same rules engine that powers the popular 2nd edition of the Pathfinder role-playing game. Inside this playtest for the new edition, you'll find 6 new classes, 10 ancestries, new skills, new feats, futuristic equipment, including augmentations and upgrades, new science fantasy spells, and more. And finally, Starfighter 2nd Edition playtest adventure, A Cosmic Birthday. A nascent cosmic entity stirs deep within one of the Pact World's planets. To aid the god's birth, its most devoted followers search the ghost levels of Absalom Station for a sufficient power source, a strange pocket dimension existing alongside the hub of the Pact Worlds. As the entity's emergence sends ripples across space-time, a group of heroes becomes trapped in the ghost levels. With dangerous creatures and ominous power surges threatening the station, the heroes must team up with the residents of Little Akaton to investigate these horrifying new foes, stop their meddling, and stay alive. All of these releases will be available at Gen Con 2024 starting August 1st, and I do believe they will also be in stores on August 1st. So a few things that I found kind of interesting. First of all, the physical copy of the 2nd edition playtest for Starfighter is going to run, if I remember correctly, the MSRP on that is $59.99. I think it's going to run about 240 pages. The PDF will be absolutely free. So the PDF of the playtest will be free. So you don't have to shell out money for it. But if you want, you can pick up a physical copy of the playtest rulebook. And here's something interesting. I guess, now I don't know if it's still the case now, but the Pathfinder 2nd Edition playtest rulebook was kind of a collector's item. So it sells for more than its cover price online, at least last I had taken a peek. So there is that as well. So lots going to be emerging at Gen Con for Paizo Inc. That is it for the news tonight. I did not mention Drive-Thru RPG in any of our news stories tonight, but I should point out the Gaming Gang Dispatch, and of course the Gaming Gang itself, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG or Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, any of the One Bookshelf sites, please stop by at thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I will get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Of course, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop on by paypal.me/thegaminggang and make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. And Kevin King recently stopped by and made a donation. Thank you very kindly for that. But there are a lot of you out there who stop by and use the banner ads for Drive-Thru RPG or other One Bookshelf sites, and or visit paypal.me/thegaminggang. Thank you very kindly. The Madman says, speaking of Gen Con, they're all set and awaiting badge registration, which is coming up on Sunday. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So I think press pass applications open the same time. So stay tuned. That is the game plan this year. My best friend, Elliot Miller, is going to be going to Gen Con. We already discussed that because he said there's no way he can go to San Diego Comic-Con. Although I did get approved for press passes. They usually give us 2. I won't know until, what is it, probably May. That's when I have to assign the press passes to various people. So I usually assign them to me and my brother. But anyway, so yes, Elliot Miller will be joining me again. He did not go last year. He went the year before. He kind of goes like every other year, it almost seems. So it'll be nice. We always have a blast. So we're hoping to get to say hello to the madman in person. So that'll be nice. Maybe play a game or two. Sweet. Very sweet. All right. So the dispatch will continue in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
The most popular beverage in America, milk. Refreshing and delicious. The perfect pickup and energizer. Get yours now.
Hungry? Thirsty? The snack bar is open. There's hot, fresh, delicious popcorn. And it's even better with butter. You'll also find refreshing ice-cold soft drinks. And your favorite candy, too. So we invite you to visit the snack bar at your convenience.
The best candy on earth comes from Mars, Milky Way.
Hey, diddle, diddle, there's milk in its middle. Milk in its chocolate, too. There's so much milk in the Milky Way, you can almost hear it.
Wholesome and good. That's Milky Way. And the reason is right in the name, milk. Each year, millions of gallons of fresh milk, the kind you drink, go into Milky Way candy bars. There's milk in the creamy nougat and in the pure milk chocolate. Mighty milky, mighty good, Milky Way.
There's so much milk in the Milky Way, you can almost hear it.
The best candy on earth comes from Mars.
Darling, if I marry you, will you keep me in Wilkins coffee?
Boy, will this be a soggy romance.
Snow, rain, mud. Your car's bound to get dirty.
So give your car a car wash, make it look like new. Watch it in the car wash that lets you see right through. Mr. Kelly's Car Wash, that's the one for me.
Hey, Mr. Kelly.
Wax it beautifully.
Drive up the ramp, hook the chain. It runs by battery.
Clean, scrubs, and dries your car automatically.
Mr. Kelly's Automatic Car Wash. What a toy. From a hidden tank, fill overhead water tower, hook on car, throw switch, and automatically cars are wet down, scrubbed all over, and dried while you watch. Mr. Kelly's Car Wash comes with 2 late model cars, car wax, towels, sponges, and even a sign. Hey, Mr. Kelly!
Clean my car like new. Mr. Kelly's Car Wash lets you wax them too.
Every boy wants a Remco toy, and so do girls.
Mr. Kelly's Car Wash, that's the one for me.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to change the intermission when I got down here tonight. I got down into the duct tape studios a little late this evening. So I was kind of scrambling to get things ready and done. Anyway, we will talk about 2D20 in just a few moments, but I had mentioned when I started the show that this weekend was kind of stressful, and I was just talking about my best friend, Elliot Miller, and he has a nephew who was friends with us back in the day. You know, he was part of the gang. He played all the games with us and Call of Cthulhu. And I've told the story about how, because he was like 13 and we were like 16, he was the sort of player that you always had to devote a little bit of time to every few hours so that he'd get like the spotlight and do silly stuff and whatever. But I had not talked to him in about 20 years. So he had some issues, not going to get into that. But I really hadn't talked to him. But I mean, he was a real close friend for, 15 years or so. So anyway, I was talking to Elliot. He had contacted me, I want to say this was Friday morning, to tell me that his nephew was in the intensive care unit at his local hospital, which he lives, in the Chicago area. And various different things had led him to the emergency room, and then they admitted him. He had surgery, and then he came down with sepsis. So they moved him to the intensive care unit, and we were pretty worried. I mean, granted, I hadn't talked to him in 20 years. I mean, had a falling out with him, and but still, I was kind of upset, So I was checking in with Elliot every day to see what was going on, and thankfully got some good news yesterday that they kicked the sepsis, I should say. Keep wanting to call it septis, but it's sepsis. So they were able to knock that out. He's got, other issues, which is why he was in the hospital in the first place. So he's not completely out of the woods, but they are talking about they might be able to release him in a few days so he can go home and recuperate. But I guess there's some discussion they might have to remove his bladder. So, and Elliot's nephew is in a wheelchair. He was born with spina bifida, so he's had issues with that. And so it was stressful. It was a stressful weekend. So the Madman's sending best wishes and a speedy recovery to Elliot's nephew. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm sure Elliot appreciates that also. So I go into more details, but I mean, it's really not my place, to discuss someone else's, medical emergencies and that, but just, pointing that out. So let's see, who have we had pop into chat that I have missed? I think I said hello to Omanal. I may have missed Omanal, but I thought I said hello. Let's see, who else do we have who has joined us? Because I know I've seen a few people. Kabuki Kid is in the house. Good to see you. I thought there was, Bjorn is with us. There's one more person, I swear. Whom I missed? There we go. John Brunhaver. So welcome to you all. Looks like we've got a pretty good chat rocking and rolling right now. Omanal says their friend goes to Gen Con but cannot find anything to buy because he seems to back every Kickstarter game. Oh, there's plenty of Gen Con that you would not find on Kickstarter. So your friend is simply not looking hard enough. In fact, you wouldn't have to look hard at all. Chris Lundgren says their dwarf in the basic expert Dungeons and Dragons game they play only drinks milk, no mead. And the dungeon master players laugh. So they thought that milk commercial was funny. They happen to be playing in their basic expert game this weekend. Chris Lundgren says they don't need any car wash today in California. Yeah, boy, you guys are getting serious amounts of rain. Isn't it like the most rain in something like 70 years? Wow. And it's like, just had that. How long did that drought go on for? That drought was going on for quite a long time. Chris also points out sepsis is a serious condition in which the body responds improperly to an infection. Their mother-in-law got that before she died. It's really hard to treat. Praying for him. Yeah, actually, Elliot had mentioned that he had an uncle and an aunt both passed away from sepsis. There's always something that leads to it. Oh, okay, I'll take that back. Maybe not. If you end up in the hospital, you have a higher likelihood of getting it. But most of the time, it does extend from another infection. So yeah, so your body just starts attacking itself and organs can shut down and things like that. So it's pretty nasty. But like I said, when I talked to Elliot yesterday, he said it seemed like his nephew was out of the woods. And his nephew's got to be 53. I think that's how he's either 53 or 54. So, all righty. Anyway, as I mentioned, we'll talk a little bit about the 2D20 system from Modiphius Entertainment. I know it turns some people off. And I would be the first to say that if I were going to use an action resolution mechanic for a role-playing game, 2D20 would not be my first choice at all. Because it is just sort of weird. It's not intuitive. And in fact, it's not exactly the same, but if you have any familiarity with the Dark Eye from the German fantasy role-playing game that's been around forever, where you actually roll 3 20-sided dice and you've got 3 different attributes that it's, in my opinion, it's clunky as hell. The Dark Eye, but it's super popular. It's very, very popular. It is probably the most popular fantasy role-playing game in Germany. And of course, Modiphius Entertainment, they're out of England, so they're European. So I don't know. Coco B says, whenever they've heard 2D20 explained, they get lost. Would have to play it, they suppose, to understand it. Yeah, that's, I would say, a good way to put it. It's not as complex or unusual as you might think it is. But it's not just simply roll a 20-sided die you're rolling under. You're rolling multiple 20-sided dice. Normally, you're rolling 2 20-sided dice. It has been a while since I've actually dug into the core mechanics of a 2D20 system, because it's been a while since I have reviewed a core rule book from Modiphius Entertainment. It's usually like other supplements and things like that I share reviews of, so I don't have to delve back into the 2D20 mechanics very deeply. But if I remember correctly, you also have skills in that. And so you've got various different skills, and those have, ratings in that. So you're rolling for skills too. So it is the roll lower, equal to or lower. So like you would in a percentile-based game, except instead of rolling percentile dice, you're rolling 2D20, or maybe not. Like I said, that's, I think, what makes it clunkier is because it's called a 2D20 system, but it is possible for you to be rolling more than 2 20-sided dice, if I remember correctly. So Tesco Love says Modiphius also had a problem with earlier 2D20 products of being in dire need of editing. They've gotten better, but those Conan, John Carter, Dune rules are a rough read. I think their Achtung Cthulhu is probably the clearest presentation. It's not necessarily the most rules light presentation. I don't think it's the heaviest either. But Star Trek Adventures is also another one that isn't real. In fact, in my opinion, and I've said this before, I think that if you're looking for a lightweight, edition of the 2D20 system, you would find it in John Carter of Mars and in Star Trek Adventures. And then I think I almost said clunkiest. I think the one that's got probably the most crunch isn't even in print anymore. I would think that would be the Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of. Tesco Love says the latest Homeworld 2D20 is probably the best, most concise version of the system. I have not had an opportunity to take a peek at that. I got to be honest, I don't think that Modiphius Entertainment is really into Homeworld. I don't know why. I would think maybe when the new Homeworld game comes out, they might have some new content. Omanal says they have to read the Cohort Cthulhu PDF. It just came out this week. Omanal says Mutant Chronicles was clunkier than Conan. Both are out of print. Yeah, I never had an opportunity to take a peek at Mutant Chronicles. Tessie Trekkie is with us. Good to see you. Flaming Huron is with us. I didn't say hello to Flaming Huron. Good to see you also. Chris Lundgren says, I hated the classic MechWarrior role-playing game rules back in the day. Same with the original Twilight 2000 RPG. That was a chore. Yes, that is for certain. As far as MechWarrior, I never had that. I had BattleTech, but I never got into the role-playing game aspect of it. But yes, Twilight 2000, cool setting, interesting concept, because we're talking post-apocalyptic, but we're not at the apocalypse, right? Things are bad, just not apocalyptic bad, right? And it's not, well, I guess you would consider it science fiction because when it came out, it was kind of near future. So there was some technology that was a little more advanced than the period when it came out, but not a ton. And it was very realistic. It was, in fact, if I remember right, Frank Chadwick was the designer on that. And like I said, premise was pretty cool. If you were looking to play like a military sort of role-playing game, it was a decent fit. But yeah, the rules were the Free League Publishing edition of Twilight 2000. Those rules work. Those rules work. I'll be the first to point out, I am not a huge fan of the randomness of the adventures, where you're using decks of cards to, for the most part, generate your adventures. There are some like published adventures, but they're pretty skeletal in nature. So, and some people love that. Me personally, I like a little bit of plot available to me so I don't have to create everything on the fly. Just me. Tessie Trekkie says, Mutant Chronicles was brilliant when Modiphius sold all the books for £1 each. I do have some new Modiphius stuff. I have the Dreams and Machines Player's Guide and Game Master's Guide. those are some of my next videos I'll be shooting. I have The Sands and the Serpent for Achtung Cthulhu 2D20. Yes, unfortunately, I do not have any Masrita to share with you. Is that gonna be like a running gag on this show now? Every show, I'm gonna have to refer to Masrita somehow, just out of the blue? No. But I also have another adventure which came out along with The Serpent and the Sands. So we will be taking a peek at that. I got something from Steamforged Games. Remember, I shared a news piece not too long ago about Medici. It's a Reiner Knizia design. That arrived. They had also sent a couple of their Epic Encounters boxes, and that may have been lost. I don't know. It was supposed to be coming FedEx, and it got to Indianapolis and sat in Indianapolis for 3 days. Now it said it left Indianapolis, but it is not showing any projected delivery date, which is usually bad news. So Chris Lundgren says, I do own the Far Trek RPG that's out of print in paperback. They got to know the creator. A good, simple, the original series era RPG. You can still find it in PDF. Elliot ran the FASA Star Trek role-playing game, and it was decent. I gotta say, he ran an adventure which was a takeoff of The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. And it was actually pretty damn good. He ran it for myself, his brother Thomas, who was like in his late 20s, and we were probably like 16, 17 years old. His brother Thomas's girlfriend and his brother's best friend, Russell, who I've mentioned prior, who was a gamer. And it was pretty cool. And he was like handing out, little notes. Because of course, it's The Thing. Who's infected? And of course, you're trying to infect the other characters as well. So it was pretty cool. Roll for Combat is with us. Roll for Combat just rolled out a new backer kit project earlier today. So I did not share a news piece on tonight's show because I already had all my news ready for tonight. But I did share the news piece on thegaminggang.com. So it's got all the links. And if you follow me on X, I did share a post on that too, because there is a Mimic Dice Guardian, which is a special promo that you get free if you back within the first 48 hours. So normally when I share news from Kickstarters, backer kits, whatever crowdfunding project companies roll out, I tend to wait a day or two, sometimes a little more, because I want to see how the project does. So that way, when I do a headline or title for an article, I can kind of play on that. So rather than just XYZ Kickstarter launches, I can do things like, XYZ Kickstarter funds within first 12 minutes, stuff like that. It's got a little more oomph to it than just, here's another Kickstarter launch. So Roll for Combat says, but I did send out a press release. Yep, I got it. The news piece is tomorrow night on the show. I'll be sharing it because I only have one more news piece I got to get done for tomorrow's show, because most people know I do my best to try to have my news ready to go. So everything's not last minute. So there's some discussion of Dreams and Machines. Yeah, says Tessie Trekkie says it's Horizon Zero Dawn with the numbers filed off. As I mentioned, I'll have to actually dig deeper to find out if Dreams and Machines was originally going to be a Horizon Zero Dawn role-playing game, and then Modiphius just couldn't come to an agreement, or maybe there was a bit of a fall off as far as an agreement on the licensing, because it really does feel that that was the aim for Dreams and Machines. The art style, just the presentation really does feel like that's what it was supposed to be. And we already know Modiphius Entertainment has quite a few different IPs that they've licensed. One of them is Fallout. I have a big news piece about that on tomorrow's show. Yes. All right. So Chris Lundgren says heresy, but they prefer classic Star Frontier to Traveler. All depends on the sort of game that you're looking to have. If you are looking for more space fantasy, if you're looking for Star Wars, then I would say, yeah, Star Frontiers is probably a better aim than Traveler. Traveler tends to be, I wouldn't even say Firefly. Traveler kind of aims a little more towards hard science fiction. Now, granted, we're not talking extremely hard science fiction. There is still some leeway to it, right? But it's been a long time since I peeked at Star Frontiers. I owned it back in the day. I did not have, is it Alpha Hawks or something like that? It was a box set when they did. It was almost like a second edition of Star Frontiers that they came out with. If I remember correctly, didn't it take TSR years to finally release some starship construction rules for Star Frontiers? Wasn't that a problem? Wasn't that like a huge problem? Kabuki Kid says, or you can just go with Star Wars, like the D6. Nighthawks, that was it. Thank you. Coco B and Kabuki Kid both pointing out Nighthawks. I don't know why I was thinking Alpha Hawks. So, all righty. Anyway, just final thoughts on the 2D20 system. It's not awful. I don't think it's as confusing as some people have maybe led others to believe. But I will say that it is certainly not a system that I would recommend to game masters who have never run role-playing games before. Because, like I said, it is not necessarily very intuitive. So, Kabuki Kid says, conflating it with Alpha Dawn. Yep, I'm sure that's what I'm doing. Flaming Heron says, Alpha Hawks does ring a bell, though. Chris Lundgren says, the spaceship combat system that went with it was really cool by itself. Easier than Starfleet Battles, but we love that game, too. We played the hell out of Starfleet Battles when it was Task Force Games. And before it got into just this, it reached a tipping point where it suddenly just had too much content. Too many alien races and ships and a variety of different weapons that all had different rules and things like that. The first 3 volumes, I would say, Starfleet battles were excellent. And funny enough, it actually emerged from another game that was from Task Force Games, which I would actually probably enjoy playing today. And I would think that the system itself still holds up pretty well. And the name of that game was Starfire. Back in the day, I was one of these people who would pick up a lot of the Ziploc bag games. So I would pick up the micro games, Task Force games, meta games, those sorts of games out there. And I remember picking up some of the Task Force Games titles. In fact, almost all of them. And some were clunkers. Just like with the meta games, with the micro games, there were some that were like, womp, womp, womp. Not too sharp. Kind of like, theme's really not coming through on this. But then there were others that were really well done. And Starfleet Battles just happened to be, and Starfire volumes 1 through 3 were actually really, really well done games. Last time I looked, this is years ago, last time I was thinking of Starfire, I was online and there was a website that still sold the game. I don't know if that's still the case anymore, but it was similar to Starfleet Battles where you actually, because in Starfleet Battles, you lose shield points and hull points, and it's along the lines of Car Wars originally, where you lose certain things take damage in a specific order, and Starfleet Battles was just more in depth with that. You had far more locations of hits and all different stuff. If you've never checked out Starfleet Battles, I do recommend taking a peek at it. Maybe not necessarily the Amarillo game design version of it, because that is relatively complex. But I would say I think it floats around out there in PDF. It might just be, just vaporware, considered to be vaporware now. But I would definitely say take a peek at that if you're curious about, and of course, it wasn't licensed. So it was Star Trek without calling it Star Trek. So it was that. Kabuki Kid says, Talon is a pretty good modern space combat game from GMT. Takes from Starfleet Battles. A little bit. It does have, it is rather abstract in a lot of ways, but you're also normally controlling far more than just one ship. So Kabuki Kid says Talon's gimmick is that the spaceships are hex pieces that are dry erase, and the stats are on them. Yep. Chris Lundgren says they call it Starfleet Battles Light. Chris also says it's Starfleet Battle Force. Yes, I think that is the Amarillo. Yeah, I think it's Amarillo Design Studios, something like that. Sweet. All righty. So that is it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my review of The Plum Island Horror from GMT Games. In fact, got quite a few videos you may have missed. In In fact, today I shared my review of the Deadlands Weird West Companion. So there have been a few videos popping up, and there will be more videos as well. I got plenty for us to take a peek at and for me to share reviews of. Anyway, by all means, if you have not checked it out, take a peek at my review of the Plum Island Horror, designed by my very good friend, Herman Lutman. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you're not going to find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you are watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap, because not only are you keeping me company, you're keeping each other company too. But of course, I know there are a lot of folks out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. I really do appreciate all of you taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. I will be back tomorrow. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and here's hoping all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.